It is 9:03. I call to order the April 25, 2023 Special Magistrate Proceeding for the City of Daytona Beach. My name is Robert Riggio, and I am the Special Magistrate at this proceeding this morning. And I will be hearing the matters on the agenda, which is that posted over on the wall? In the order in which they appear on the agenda, with a couple of exceptions, and we will get to those. I see we only have a few people in attendance today, so hopefully we can get through these and in an expeditious manner. I have a couple, Mr. Agazzoli, let's go to item 2, announcements. Do you have any announcements that you wish to make?
Yes, we have, first one is case number 12. We have received an email communication from the property manager stating that he and the owner will be for this hearing date and request to move their case to the next available date, which should be... Is that better? Yes, sir. Thank you. Sorry. Do you need me to repeat that? Please. Okay, first case is, first announcement is case number 12. We have received an email communication from the property manager stating that he and the owner will be out of the country for this hearing date and request to move their case to the next available date, which would be May 23rd, 2023.
Okay.
Second item is case number 13. We received an email communication from the owner asking to move the hearing date to June 27th, 2023. So they have the ability to obtain legal counsel and gather the necessary documents and evidence. Okay. The last item is case number 16. We have received an email communication from the property manager stating that he and the owner will be out of the country and request to move their date to the next available date to May 23rd, 2023.
All right. At this point, are any of those individuals, Mr. Hoffman, Karen Kumar, Kanal Kumar, or Alan Lutens or Dolores Lutens present this morning? Okay, they're not, but they submitted a written request. I've got them in the materials. Therefore, Mr. Jackson.
Yes, if I can say, Mr. Riggio, the city, these are cases that the city has reviewed. To our knowledge, as of this moment, the respondents have ceased the period of the violation, so we have no objection to this request for additional time. Of course, as long as, and as expected, they would not resume what we would conclude to be a violation of the code.
Okay, I would expect that if they did resume it, you would have to cite them again.
We would cite them again.
So,
and we would address the concerns at the next proceeding. Okay,
therefore, let me go through these. Case number 12, RTL 04-2326, Timothy Hoffman for property at 2040 South Peninsula Drive. That case is continued until the next date, which would be, let's see if this is 25, which would be May 23rd, 2023. The next matter is case number 23, RTL 04-2327, Karen Kumar and Kanal Kumar for property at 611 South Seneca Boulevard, and I hereby continue that matter to June 27th, 2023. And the third matter is case number 16, RTL 04-2330, Alan Lutens and Dolores Lutens, respondents. Property is at 255 Lexington Drive, and that case is continued to April 25th, 2023.
May.
Oh, I'm sorry, May 20th. May 23rd, 2023. Okay. All right. Are there any further announcements?
There is not.
No, there are no matters that have come into compliance since the agenda was prepared? Okay. The third item is the approval of the March 28th, 2023 meeting minutes. I've already done so and provided one to Mr. Bagazzoli. All right. Before we begin, we start moving forward into the actual matters themselves. First, I would like any city representatives who will be giving testimony to come forward and be sworn in.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
All right. Before we get to lien reviews, are there any attorneys present who have matters pending? Ms. Gow, if you could come forward and state the matter that you have pending.
Good morning. I'm case number 7.
Case number 7. So let's do case number 7 a little out of order. Case number 7, RTL 012308, Ambassador of Business Health, Wellness, and et cetera, cited for failure to correct violations of city code at 1301 North Atlantic Avenue. As I recall, you're in the permit review process.
Mm-hmm.
And could you give me sort of an update on where you are on that process?
Sure. So the front structure is going through the administrative rezoning that the city is processing. That is scheduled to go before the planning board at their May hearing by staff. So what the property owner is doing is going through the demolition of the rear structure, that yellow building. The demo permit has been issued. It's valid until May 2nd. It was issued at the beginning of the month. As part of the demo review, before they could go through on site, there was a water line that connected to that rear structure. So they had to disconnect that water line, reroute it, and then they had to move the hot water heater from that rear structure to the front structure. That's been done. Other utilities have been capped. The concrete in the back has been removed. They're waiting on equipment to be on site. I've been told it's supposed to happen for the last week and a half. I think that other work has delayed the equipment being scheduled by Sam Sula. So it's any day now they're going to be there to tear it down. They've talked to the neighbors, but that's where we are.
Okay. Mr. Mango, do you have anything to add?
No, Inspector Domingo with City of Daytona Beach Code Compliance. My credentials are on file with the city. Just affirming what Attorney Gow did communicate to me regarding the prep work for the tank being removed, water lines being capped, things of that nature have transpired since the last hearing. So I'm requesting to amend to the May cutoff to allow time for the demolition of that rear structure to take place.
Is that agreeable?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Mr. Riggio, can I just confirm that we're talking about 1301 North Atlantic? Right,
That's-
so she's called the wrong case. Your case is Advanced Minerals, right?
Wait, case number 7 on this agenda. Is it an old?
It's actually,
I have a revised agenda. We're reading out
okay.
off of different
so,
books.
okay, I just
Sorry,
wanted to make-
317 Fairview. Yeah.
Okay, so it's actually case 4 and
Case
not
number
Okay.
4.
case 7.
Let me just correct that. We are currently considering case number 4, RTL 0422-106, Advanced Minerals, Inc., trustee and 317 Fairview Avenue Land Trust for violations at 317 Fairview Avenue.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
And you would like to continue this to the May 23rd?
Yes, sir.
Sure. Okay. When does planning board meet?
It's May 25th, but the agenda will be out by then, so we can give you guys an update that the staff reports
Okay.
in. And
All right. So therefore, case number 4, RTL 0422-106. By the way, is that agreeable to the city?
Yes.
Okay. Therefore, in case number 4, RTL 0422-106, Advanced Minerals, Inc., trustee and 317 Fairview Avenue Land Trust for property at 317 Fairview Avenue, I hereby continue this matter to the May 23, 2023 Special Magistrate proceeding.
thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, now we'll go back to the order. There are no other attorneys present. Go back to the order of the cases on the agenda. The next item are lien reviews, and we have two lien reviews. They're both the same individual. First lien review is CEB 08-20-155, 611 North Street, Anthony Ray Teal. Okay, Mr. Reckenzone, are you here on behalf of the city?
Yes, sir.
Is Mr. Teal, I don't see him present.
Yes, sir.
Someone's supposed to be on.
Okay. I would prefer if Mr. Teal was present, since he has a significant amount of a fine lien on the property, both properties. And unless the city is recommending dropping both of those, I would prefer to have him be able to argue his case. I know he has appeared before, and I have some idea of what his arguments are, but this is his opportunity to do that, and rather than go through a lot of hoops and hurdles simply to
Right, Mr. Sykes met with him and tried to come to an agreement, but they weren't not able to come to an agreement.
okay. Well,
Mr. Riggio, if we can we move this to the end of the docket, see if he should appear on video, maybe he's just late, and if for some reason he does not appear, then can discuss which way you want to resolve it as of today, whether it would be, our recommendation would probably be denial without prejudice, but maybe not.
okay.
But we'll leave it to that when we get there, if we can just move it to the end of the docket.
All right. He had appeared here before, and he had what I thought were some good arguments and things that I have heard before and felt might warrant a reduction, and I hate to have him lose his opportunity to be able to argue it, and
Yeah, we
would like to get this matter resolved.
Yes, yes, sir. And we will be anticipating asking for reduction as well, just not to the level that he.
Okay.
desired.
So therefore, I am going to move lien review 1, CEB 08-20-155, 611 North Street, property owned by Mr. Anthony Ray Teal, and lien review 2, SMG 01-20-11, 611 North Street, also owned by Mr. Teal. I'm going to order that both of those lien reviews be moved to the end of today's docket, so we can move forward with the people who are here. All right. We will now begin with the hearing of cases and start with the new cases. Case number 1, RTL 04-23-31, Kathleen Hanna. Cited for failure to correct violations of city code at 611 Winchester Street. Is Kathleen Hanna present or anyone on her behalf? There's no respondent present. Mr. Reckenzone?
Good morning. This case came in as a complaint. Certified mail was returned on 10/13/2022. The site was, compliance date was 4/2/2023. Site was visited on 4/3/2023 and still in noncompliance. When I posted for hearing, I talked to the tenant and expressed that there was a hearing today. And I've had no contact with the property owner.
Okay. So, Mr. Reckenzone, it's your testimony that this property is occupied by a tenant and therefore there is no rental license?
Correct.
Okay. It would also have to be inspected and the
Correct. They would have to-
business tax receipt paid and all
Correct.
of
They
that?
haven't started even the process.
Okay. All right. So therefore, in case number 1, RTL 04-23-31, I find the respondent Kathleen Hanna to be for property at 611 Winchester Street. I find the respondent Kathleen Hanna to be in non-compliance, nor the respondent to come into compliance by Would that be May 18th, 2023?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Or be returned to a hearing before the special magistrate on May 23, 2023 for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day.
Thank you.
Let's see, 518. Case number 2, RTL 042332. Kurt Irving Taylor and Stacy Taylor have been cited for failure to correct violations of city code at 537 Pelican Bay Drive. Is anyone here on behalf of Kurt Taylor?
Yes, can you hear me?
Oh, yes, okay.
Yep,
You're on
hi.
Zoom.
Yep.
Please state your name.
It's Kurt Taylor, Kurt and Stacy Taylor.
Please raise your right hand.
Yep.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right. Ms. Tomengo, can you fill us in on what's going on at this property?
Yes, this case opened June 14th of 2022. The owner was first notified September 16th of 2022 with a compliance date of September 30th of 2022. The owner did submit a rental license application, and inspection was scheduled for the property. I've been in contact with Mr. Taylor off and on regarding compliance with following through with the rental inspection that's needed for the property. At our last communication with his son, who is one of the occupants at the property, we've scheduled the rental inspection for April the 28th at 1 p.m. So I'm requesting to amend to, I'm requesting non-compliance, compliance for next cutoff for this property.
Okay, and Ms. Tomengo, it's your testimony that this property is occupied by a renter?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Taylor, it's your turn.
Yes, sir. I'm trying to follow through with everything that she needs. We had a wall that was leaking, and it was just a nightmare trying to fix it. Kept having problems. And then the person that was going to fix it kept putting us off, and then he got COVID, and it just kept dragging on and on. Well, we finally got the wall fixed.
By somebody else.
By somebody else. So now we're getting ready to have this inspection.
Okay. Mr. Taylor, this is a non-compliance consideration today. There are no
Okay.
fines or anything, but if we come back another month, then we start looking at fines and things. So it's in your best interest to try and resolve these things as quickly as you can.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so therefore, in case number 2, RTL 042332, respondents being Kurt Irving Taylor and Stacy Taylor for property at 537 Pelican Bay Drive. I find the respondents to be in non-compliance and order the respondents to come into compliance by May 18th, 2023, or be returned to a hearing before the special magistrate on May 23, 2023, for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day. That's it.
Sir.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, our next case is number 3, RTL 042333, Infinite Home Solutions LLC, cited for failure to correct violations of city code at 735 Marion Street. Is there anyone present on behalf of Infinite Home Solutions or by Zoom? There is no respondent present. Ms. Tomengo?
Okay, this case opened May 5th of 2022. At the time that the case opened, there was another owner of the property who was first notified October 10th of 2022 by posting with a compliance date of October 24th of 2022. During the course of the case, the property did change ownership to a new owner, in which I did post the property for first notice on January 6th of 2023 with a compliance date of January 20th of 2023. It is my finding that the property is an unlicensed rental property. I have not received contact from either one of the owners, the previous or the current owner. So I'm requesting non-compliance with compliance by next cutoff for this property.
Okay. And is the property occupied?
To my knowledge, it's occupied. There's also a corresponding code case regarding tenant complaints and complaints from neighbors regarding the occupancy and the condition of
Okay, so the tenant is actually complaining as well.
There are neighbors making complaints, and I have met on site with a tenant to confirm that it was occupied at a juncture in the case.
Okay, so therefore, case number 3, RTL 04-2333, respondent being Infinite Home Solutions LLC for property at 735 Marion Street. I find the respondent to be in non-compliance, nor the respondent come into compliance by May 18, 2023, or be returned to a hearing before the special magistrate on May 23rd, 2023, for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day. Okay, let's move on now to case number 5. These are cases where a fine could be imposed. Case number 5, RTL 03-2318, Blue Clay Financial Services LLC, cited for failure to correct violations of city code at 259 Jefferson Street. Ms. Tomengo, is there any, by the way, is there anyone here on behalf of Blue Clay Financial? No. There is no respondent.
Okay, since the last hearing, I have had several communications by email with the owner, Mr. Blunt. If you recall from the last hearing, there are 2 units at this property that I've confirmed are vacant. Mr. Blunt was supposed to be working towards vacating Unit 3 of a tenant that's lingering there. Email communication with him on the April 19th, he did tell me that he was going to be filing for eviction, and I requested a copy of the eviction filing, which I have not received documentation as such. I did check the Volusia County Clerk of Court this morning to see if there was record of that, and I did not find a record of an eviction filing. So I'm requesting a fine of $100 a day up to $15,000 max, or until the property meets compliance.
Okay, and is that fine to start today?
Yes, sir.
All right, and today is the 4/25. Okay. All right, then in case number 5, RTL 03-2318, respondent being Blue Clay Financial Services LLC for property at 259 Jefferson Street. I find that the respondent, who was previously found in noncompliance, remains in noncompliance, and therefore order a fine in the amount of $100 per day to commence on April 25th, 2023, and to continue each day thereafter until the fine has reached the amount of $15,000 or the property is brought into compliance. Case number 6, RTL 06-22-126 Autonomics LLC, cited for failure to correct violations of city code at 531 Janice Avenue. Mr. Reckenzone,
Yes, sir.
can you provide the particulars of this matter?
This property was, since the last hearing, was given 2 months to get the Janice. Yes.
This is Janice Avenue.
Okay. Those are not the right pictures. Wait, no. They're the right pictures. I'm sorry. This property was given 2 months to figure out the ADU for the property. On April 10th, the city sent an email out to the property owner, giving them the directions of what to do for the ADU. For
Can you tell me what the EDU is?
Auxiliary, it's
Dwelling
a
unit?
dwelling unit.
Okay.
It's actually 2 units, so in a single family.
Okay.
So
Is that zoned for a single family?
yes. So they were given this email and application on the April 10th. And I've had no contact with them. The building department has had no contact with them since that email was sent to them.
Okay.
And the city's asking for $100 per day, up to 15, for not proceeding forward.
Okay. Well, I'll let the record reflect that Mr. Reckenzone has handed me a email from June Barnes dated April 17, 2023 at 12:30 p.m. To Mr. Reckenzone with the ADU use verification form, which is a one-page document that is also included. It's the accessory dwelling unit verification form. It's a blank form for someone to fill out. And if you can, Mr. Bagazoli, if you can make these in the record, so this proceeding. Okay, and Mr. Reckenzone, it's your testimony that you sent them the form and they've done nothing with it.
Correct.
All right. And you're asking for $100 per day, up to $15,000
Yes, sir.
to start today?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Therefore, in case number 6, RTL 06-22-126, respondent being Autonomics LLC for property at 531 Janus Avenue, I find that the respondent who was previously found in noncompliance remains in noncompliance and therefore order a fine in the amount of $100 per day to commence on April 25, 2023, and to continue each day thereafter until the fine has reached the amount of $15,000 or the property is brought into compliance. All right, case number 7, RTL 01-2308, Ambassador of Business, Health, Wellness, and etc., cited for failure to correct violations of City Code at 1301 North Atlantic Avenue. Mr. Reckenzone?
Since the last hearing, I've had no contact with the property owner. When I took this picture yesterday, I made contact with the tenant. Work is being done in the property, but they haven't done enough to like, I haven't had talk with the property owner at all. And the city's going to be asking for a fine of $100 a day, capped out at $15,000.
Okay, starting today?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. And again, is there anyone here on behalf of Ambassador of Business, Health, Wellness, and etc.? There is no respondent present. Therefore, in case number 7, RTL 01-2308, respondent being Ambassador of Business, Health, Wellness, and etc. for property at 1301 North Atlantic Avenue, I find that the respondent who was previously found in noncompliance remains in noncompliance and therefore order a fine in the amount of $100 a day to commence on April 25th, 2023, and to continue each day thereafter until the fine has reached the amount of $15,000 or the property is brought into compliance. Case number 8, RTL 01-2303, Anil Maharaj and Uginder Maharaj cited for failure to correct violations of City Code at 331 Taylor Avenue. Is there anyone here on behalf of Anil or Uginder Maharaj? There is no respondent present. I know they were present here last month, as I recall.
Yes.
Can you fill us in where things are, Mr. Reckenzone?
Since the last hearing, all that needed to be done was the 2 rear windows were going to be replaced. I've gotten an email. I've talked to him via email about those windows. He paid half of the payment for the emails to a contractor. He's given me the contractor's name. I asked him for a date for installment and a permit to be pulled, and neither of those things were done. And the city's asking for a fine of $100 per day. Got that to be 15,000.
Okay. I tend to recall that I said that windows could be a problem,
Yes.
as we've seen before in other matters, and he assured me that, oh, no, this was going to be, as I recall, it may have him confused with someone else.
You're correct, sir.
Okay. I'm going to reduce the fine to $50,
Absolutely.
but he needs to either be here. If he'd shown up, I would have probably given him another month. He's got to, proceeding is to resolve things and keep them moving forward, not to allow the respondents to determine when or if they plan to comply.
Yes, sir.
So therefore, in case number 8, RTL 01-2303, respondents being Anil Maharaj and Uginder Maharaj for property at 331 Taylor Avenue, I find that the respondents who were previously found in noncompliance remain in noncompliance and therefore order a fine in the amount of $50 per day to commence on April 25th, 2023, and to continue each day thereafter until the fine has reached the amount of $15,000 or the property is brought into compliance.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. We now move to the irreparable and irreversible matters that are coming before me today. We will start with case number 9, RTL 04-2323, Alfonso Lee Jr. and Eliza Lee, cited for failure to correct violations of Land Development Code, Article 4, Section 4.1A, Article 5, Section 5.2.A.2 at 2744 South Atlantic Avenue.
Please state your name.
Alicia Lee. Alfonso Lee.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Okay. Miss Lee, is your first name, or your name is Alicia?
Alicia spelled wrong.
Okay.
L-I-S.
Okay, I was trying to spell it or pronounce it the way it was on the agenda, and so I apologize if I got it. Okay.
I'm sorry, how is it spelled?
L-I-S-H.
Like it sounds.
The case before you is a zoning violation? Oh, wait. Case before you is a zoning violation? Or were they sworn in?
They're sworn in.
Okay.
Mr. Yates, are you sworn?
Yes, I'm sworn in. I guess I missed them being sworn in. My fault.
Okay.
The case before you is a zoning violation. The case was opened as a citizen's complaint. The property is zoned SFR 5. Other accommodations known as short-term rentals are not permitted in this zone. The violation was first observed March 9th, 2023. They were first notified the same day. The daily rate was $103. The property officially stopped advertising as of April 21st, 2023. It displayed 27 reviews. The check-in time was 4 p.m. The checkout time was 10 a.m. We had people on site claiming to be short-term renting the 9th, the 16th, and the 14th of April. Due to the actions of the property owner, which are irreparable and irreversible, we're asking for a one-time fine of $5,000.
Okay. Ms. Lee and Mr. Lee, this is your opportunity to respond.
Thank you, Your Honor. Well, I mean, we're sorry that we're even here and to even inconvenience you over something that we would have never, ever thought about even engaging in. And honestly, I mean, it was one of those things where we have a little bit of financial hardship. And the thing is especially with regards to this, like her father is in hospice, has got stage 4 cancer, and my father has dementia, and we're running left and right trying to make things, work out. And she herself had lost her job a while back. and we're just trying to get everything sorted out. We did not know, nor were we informed, that short-term rentals in that particular locale was not acceptable. And when we received the letter, unfortunately, it was during one of our travels down south to see my dad, to tend to my family, because he has dementia. And when we came back, we immediately notified the short-term property management company about what was going on and to please desist on all listings. And they tried to accommodate us in as timely a manner as they could. And I mean, for the lack of a better word, we're just never thought we would be here for this, and never, ever, ever thought that, this would have come about and occur.
This is meant to be our family home, and unfortunately, life happened, and we had to.
It is.
In order to pay the mortgage, we had to.
Right.
To rent it.
The whole thing behind this and why we took a dive into this property and into this house is because we love Daytona Beach. Our primary residence is in St. Cloud, Florida, so in Central Florida. And the thing is both our families, obviously working class families, and our parents pretty much worked themselves to the bone. We'd like to at least offer them something during their golden years to show that, hey, it amounted to something. And through the purchase of this house and making it our family home, that was the intent. Unfortunately, financial hardships the last 3 years, which I'm sure a lot of people can attest to, and then our parents' ailing health pretty much put a big, big, big damper to that. And we unfortunately had to resort to this right now to make ends meet. But, all we can say is we're extremely remorseful about it, and we're asking for some compassionate clemency on this, in this regard, please.
Okay.
You have my family's solemn oath that you will never, ever, ever see us here under these circumstances for anything related to this or any other matter.
Okay. Mr. Yates, Mr. Jackson, does the city have any response?
I think the inspector's request for a $5,000 fine is generous for what we've seen over the time period. And understanding everything that's been said, I think the number was 28, 27 reviews, been active for some time. And I'm sure maybe with enough advice that something that they would consider as a long-term rental, but short-term rental's not permitted, and I think
Right.
the fine request is reasonable.
Okay.
Right.
Mr. Lee, let me make clear, you're not supposed to be notified that something is not in accord with city code. You are on notice. It's in you. What's in the city code, you are on notice of. So if you decide, for instance, to build a skyscraper in your backyard, the skyscraper has to come down because it was never legal.
Right.
Okay, if you don't, the duty falls on your shoulders to make sure that the use of your land complies with city code, not vice versa, that the city has to walk around and see who is doing things that are right and wrong.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I agree.
And you had a rental company handling this, or you mentioned a company?
It's a short-term rental company.
Okay.
And
They should be looking into these things because this is endemic throughout the state of Florida. Communities have the codes and things and throughout, and you may want to get with them about they've gotten you into a problem. Secondly, as Mr. Jackson has said, I've heard these now for several years. I think Mr. Yates has been more than generous because the amount of the penalty in the fine in these matters is up to $15,000, and typically reductions are made when people immediately come into compliance. Usually, I've seen it oftentimes within the same day or next day. It's not that difficult for someone who knows what they're doing, and if you're using a company, so they put you in this situation.
They did.
But that is not
Right.
the city's problem.
Right.
And
Understand.
you had 3 rentals, if I understand correctly.
Yes.
After being notified that it was not legal to be renting it. And I understand there's problems with that, but again, that is the rental company's problem.
Right.
And if they don't take action, it becomes your problem.
Understood.
So I am not inclined to make any reduction in what Mr. Yates has asked for. Okay, I understand your situation, I feel for you, but one of all of the circumstances, you already are getting the benefit of some.
Ms. Ridgey, I did not do a spiel on, in support of irreparable and irreversible finding, if that's something that,
I think it would be appropriate at this time.
okay. This would be for anyone else that's have these irreparable, reversible cases. If you listen up, this is something that is the city's position as for the magistrate's consideration of making findings that this violation is irreparable and irreversible in nature, as provided by Florida statute, Chapter 162. The city's position here is that the nature of the violations are that there's a beneficial gain to property owners that advertise conduct that's prohibited by the code. The effects of holding out property as vacation rental is irreversible. Is advertised worldwide, marketing a destination that draws people from all over the world for principal special events such as Daytona 500, Bike Week, and of course, spring break and the world's most famous beach. The properties are also marketed as a draw to nearby destinations such as Disney World and the Space Coast. Once the properties are advertised, they're never unadvertised. The reality of the World Wide Web is they cannot be pushed. You can't push advertisements back into the tube. Once they're out, they're out. They can be forwarded, retweeted, and even copied, pasted, saved in other sites. And even when it's taken down, it's still a resource that someone may come back to for rental and violation of the code. The information is a long-range effect, luring patrons under contract to participate in unlawful stays in our city with risk of poor health or safety, welfare due to unregulated and self-regulated vacation accommodations that patrons enter into at their own risk. On a single day of advertising, someone can potentially book a property for a whole year. These promised stays are potentially to the detriment of the patron, and they're definitely to the detriment of the licensed hotels, motels, and the lawful vacation rentals that have gone through proper zoning regulation, proper inspection, proper licensing, proper insurance, and proper taxation that's required by law. The transit nature of the rental limit the means of the enforcement typical to the code staff having to identify many of these properties by their advertisement. In this case, we've had the fortune of actually meeting people on site that, as well as citizen complaints. But by the time code enforcement arrives to properties, many times the transit patrons typically are gone from the property, or they're claiming misleading relationships that are often contradicted by the advertised visit comments. The monetary effect of these unlawful rentals is tax avoidance, inadequate insurance coverage, and unfair business competition against the lawful accommodations businesses and lawful vacation rentals. The community effect is that transient business use within unauthorized residential neighborhoods affect density, noise, parking, and safety. The effect and peaceful enjoyment expected in residential neighborhoods, they affect the peaceful enjoyment that's expected in residential neighborhoods, and it diverges from traditional and reliable residential norms. There was a demand from our business community, and it remains, to our commission, which has led to a request for strong deterrent to those that are raking in profits, avoiding state, local taxes, avoiding zoning regulations and regulatory controls. We've all seen rentals going for as much as several $1,000s a week and realize substantial fines is the only detriment and the only deterrent that's available. By the time we arrive and say stop, the beneficial gains are already realized by the respondent, by the property. State law adopted by the city defines vacation rentals to include advertising for transient guests. Therefore, the city requests a finding that these violations be found to be irreparable or irreversible in nature as provided by statute. And based on the gravity of the violation of the efforts to comply in the time period it took for compliance, the staff has made a recommendation in this case for a $5,000 one-time fine, and so that's what we would request.
Okay. Yeah, I would also point out that this one arose through a citizen's complaint. And generally that means that, you see, and one of the problems here is you're not there.
Right.
And you don't know what's going on at the house. Your neighbors are there, and they have certain rights as well in these situations in terms of peaceful enjoyment of their property. And when they have to complain to the city, it just, because something that shouldn't be going on is going on. That is why we're here. So therefore, do you have anything further to say?
No, thank you, Your Honor. Thank you for enlightening us on that. Honestly, again, I know ignorance is no excuse, obviously, but it's a lesson, and it's a hard lesson learned, and I apologize again. And I know Mr. Yates here has taken his time to kind of help us out along to get the short-term rental company to cease and desist and make sure that they at least delist all the active listings on there. I mean, we've gone back and forth, and like I said, he was very, very helpful, and he has been one of our biggest advocates in trying to get this matter settled, considering our, we just don't know what we were doing and what we're getting into. And I apologize, and again, I thank you for lowering the fine as well. So
I would expect all it takes is a trip to City Hall to find out if you can have a short-term rental business on your property.
If I may, Mr. Riggio, one of the things I've said often is that people have to realize and recognize more so even than just a general rental, but with short-term rental, you're starting a business. It's a business venture, and you have to take the kind of steps you would with any other business venture, which would include going down to City Hall and seeing if you can do it. What are the laws?
Understand. Again, the intention was definitely not for it to be a run as a business. It was more something to help us pay the mortgage and keep it that way. In fact, I mean, among us here, I mean, we're literally breaking even, if at that. So, but thank you for your time. Okay. I appreciate that. We appreciate that on behalf of my family and I.
Therefore, in case number 9, RTL 042323, I find the respondents Alonzo Lee Jr. and Alicia Lee to have been in noncompliance of Article 4, Section 4.1a and Article 5, Section 5.2.8.2 of the Land Development Code, which prohibit short-term rentals in zoning districts not zoned for short-term rentals. Such violations are irreparable and irreversible because the improper benefit obtained by the owner and the damage to the surrounding neighborhood occurs at the time the violation occurs and cannot be undone as provided for by Section 162.09 1D Florida statutes for the property at 2744 South Atlantic Avenue and to have subsequently come into compliance on April 21, 2023, and hereby order the respondent shall pay a fine in the amount of $5,000 and not violate that section of the Land Development Code again, and that for any future repeat violation, the respondent may be placed on a subsequent agenda for hearing before the special magistrate for consideration of a fine of up to $15,000 for each occurrence as per Chapter 162 Florida statutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Case number 10, RTL 042324, PAJ Investments, cited for failure to correct violations of Land Development Code Article 4, Section 4.1.a, Article 5, Section 5.2.a.2 at 216 Glenview Boulevard, Unit 203.
Please state your name.
Jason Silvis.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Yates.
The case before you is a zoning violation. It was started as a citizen's complaint. The property is zoned RP. Other accommodations known as short-term rentals are not permitted in this zoning district. First observed on March 15, 2023, and they were notified the same day. We had people on site claiming to be an Airbnb that same day. Due to the proper act, we did not see it advertised anywhere. Due to the actions of the property owner, which are irreparable and irreversible, we'd like to have a one-time fine of $1,000.
Okay. Sir,
Yes.
it's your opportunity.
Did you want me to address it?
Great. Well, when we
Sir,
acquired the
before you, if you could, Mr. Jackson should be giving his irreparable and irreversible presentation. He asked to do that. You may have heard that before.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
One of the things you can do, sir, is if you elect, you can waive me reading this again if you've heard it, and I'll ask the magistrate to adopt it into this case.
Yes, I'm willing to waive it. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
Therefore, Mr. Jackson's presentation on irreparable and irreversible that he provided in the previous case, RTL 042323, is hereby adopted and incorporated into this matter. Sir, it's your turn.
Yes. So we acquired this property, and the previous owner had it listed on Airbnb. The people had requested the space over a year before that. We had blocked out all of the Airbnb because we did learn that short-term rentals are illegal in Daytona Beach. This one group, though, had already paid for their visit, so we didn't. We chose to allow them to come in, and it's our mistake. We wish we wouldn't have done it. It's not listed on Airbnb anymore. It's not listed anywhere for short-term rental. I have a family of 6. We own the condominium next door at 204 as well. And in order to accommodate our family as everyone's getting older, we need 2 condos. So we will not be ever short-term renting again in Daytona Beach. And throw myself at the mercy of the court. It was our first offense, and whatever you can do to help us, we really appreciate it, since we've invested a ton of money into these 2 condominiums already.
Okay. Mr. Yates, Mr. Jackson, do you have anything?
I had told Mr. Yates all this too at the door when I met him 2 weeks ago when we were down there.
Okay. Sir, the fine which Mr. Yates has asked for is in line with the situation as described, where you did take action quickly.
Yes, sir.
And so that has been sort of the baseline for these fines, and therefore I find the amount of the fine to be appropriate under these circumstances.
Okay.
Okay.
Will you just send us a bill, or do we just submit a check with our case number on it to you then to settle with the court? How does it work? I don't know.
Ms. Barnes, he's asking about how he will be notified of it.
We'll send you an invoice. Enzo will have Mr. Riggio sign the order, and then
Okay.
Sorry. Mr. Riggio will sign the order, and then Enzo will send you a letter and an invoice.
Perfect. Let's make Daytona beautiful too. We just keep putting money into this place and trying to make it nicer and nicer. And I appreciate your help, Ms. Barnes, and getting set up on the Zoom call with the phone issues.
Okay.
Okay. Therefore, in case number 10, RTL 042324, PAJ in respondents, the PAJ Investments, who is a respondent. I find the respondent to have been in noncompliance of Article 4, Section 4.1A, and Article 5, Section 5.2.8.2 of the Land Development Code, which prohibit short-term rentals in zoning districts not zoned for short-term rentals. Such violations are irreparable and irreversible because the improper benefit obtained by the owner and the damage to the surrounding neighborhood occurs at the time the violation occurs and cannot be undone as provided for by Section 162.091D Florida statutes for the property at 216 Glenview Boulevard, Unit 203, and to subsequently come into compliance on, would that be March 16th, Mr. Yates?
Yes.
March 16th, 2023. And hereby order respondent shall pay a fine in the amount of $1,000 and not violate that section of the Land Development Code again, and that for any future repeat violation, a respondent may be placed on a subsequent agenda for a hearing before the special magistrate for consideration of a fine of up to $15,000 for each occurrence as per Chapter 162 Florida statutes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your time and consideration, Your Honor.
All right.
Is it okay for me to leave?
Yeah, yes, we're
Thank you.
moving on.
All righty.
Case number 11, RTL 042325. Frank L. Meist is cited for failure to correct violations of Land Development Code, Article 4, Section 4.1A, Article 5, Section 5.2.8.2 at 105 Sunrise Boulevard.
Please state your name.
EYST.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Yates.
The case before you is a zoning violation. The case was field generated. The property is zoned SFR 5. Other accommodations known as short-term rentals are not permitted in the zoning district. They were first notified March 15, 2023, and it was first observed the same day. The property was not actively advertising as of March 17, 2023. The posted daily rate was $60. There were 24 reviews displayed, and the rules showed a check-in time of 3 p.m. and a checkout time of 11 a.m. The actions are irreparable and irreversible in nature, and due to the actions of the property owner, we'd like to request a one-time fine of $1,000.
All right. Mr. Jackson, do you have anything to add?
Yes. Mr. Mice, I don't know if you heard my.
I did.
Is that something that I need to do again, or
No.
waive that?
No, it's fine. I'll waive it. I listened to your whole, with the previous people.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Therefore, Mr. Jackson's presentation on irreparable and irreversible that was made in case RTL 042323 earlier this morning is hereby adopted and incorporated into this proceeding. Okay, Mr. Meist, it's your turn.
Thank you for hearing me. So I was, I'm not sure why I'm in the irreversible department, because I came compliant the day he knocked on the door. And there's a little background to make a long story short. That morning I had got frauded by what I thought was Apple to fix a phone problem. They immediately hacked me. I was told later by the real Apple. So he came to my door. I was already going through turmoil, but I have proof on my iPad. I snapped photos. I canceled everyone that was coming and blocked out all the dates. And then later my girlfriend, who I co-host for her Airbnb in Thailand, she told me, your rental is still visible. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But I had already X'd out all the days, and I have pictures to prove that. And I wasn't renting anymore. But previously to this, I had approached the city, paid the $100 fee to have my place inspected. I am just renting a bedroom. It's just a bedroom. And I made that clear to the lady at the desk. She said, okay, fill out this form. I filled out the form. I paid the check. Then I got a call by, I believe it was Mr. Alonzo. What do you want me to do with this check? We don't inspect bedrooms. And at the time, I didn't know, I thought I was in the Shores area because the signs all say you're in the Shores, and I wasn't in the Shores because I knew you had to be in the Shores to rent short term, and I was totally wrong. And I just, I thought I was okay with just doing a bedroom, and in fact, I have the paperwork to do the 6 months in the bedroom. I spoke with the tax people yesterday about, because I live in the home. It's where I came to retire here from Seattle. I'm on a fixed income, a pension, and Social Security. And I was just doing this for a little bit of extra money to help me pay my house payment, especially my insurance rate just went up $1,700 a year, which just is blowing my budget out of proportion. But that's beside the point. I cease and desist the very day when he handed me the notice. I canceled all the rentals and everything. And I'm still on Airbnb because I'm a co-host for my fiance for her place in Thailand. But my place is not available. I've X'd it all out.
Mr. Meist, are you on the peninsula?
Beachside, yes, sir.
Okay, in that area that area where the Shores comes up and,
Yes.
okay.
I'm on the same.
Down to-
I'm sorry.
You said you went down and filled out some paperwork.
Yes.
Was that in the Shores or was that in Daytona?
No, it was at Daytona, right over here. And I handed the lady I believe it was $100 check to have my bedroom inspected, again, a bedroom. And then I got the call, we don't inspect bedrooms. My bad, this is on me. I didn't listen to his message that he left. I picked the phone up and talked to him personally. He said, what do you want me to do with this check? We don't inspect bedrooms. Those were his exact words. But on my answering machine, which I actually just listened to maybe about 15 days ago, he said short-term rentals are not allowed in your area, and you need to not do that. But at the time, he said we don't inspect bedrooms, and so I kind of took it for granted that, okay, well, I'm like in this gray area. I'm just renting a bedroom. I'm here all the time, except when I go see my kids on the West Coast and my grandkids, and I'm living in the home. And so whenever there was someone there with the Airbnb thing, I was there. I was always there.
Mr. Riggio, I think I can clear this up a bit. This is a single-family zoned neighborhood. Only one family can live here. You are not allowed to rent rooms in the property at all unless you would speak to the business office regarding whether it would be able to be an auxiliary dwelling unit. It would have to meet their requirements to be an auxiliary dwelling.
Okay, yeah, I get that now. I thought that I was in the Shores, though. I thought that, and it turns out I'm about a block and a half out.
Okay. And does the city have anything more they want to add?
Look, I'm sorry.
If you don't,
I know.
I'm hearing you're trying to some extent to do the right thing.
Yes, I was.
And you went down and presented a check and said, here's what I'm doing. And I assume that from the city's procedures, if somebody was told that they were not doing couldn't do a short-term rental, that if they then said, okay, I'm going to stop it, they wouldn't be here today. And in your situation, I'm hearing a lot of things. I understand that there's a rental going on. There were past rentals, correct, Mr. Yates?
Yeah, 24 reviews.
Okay, there are 24, so you slipped under the wire 24 times. But the situation is such that it seems like there's I'm going to reduce the fine. There still has to be a fine because he's irreparable, but to $250.
Thank you, sir. And like I said, it's shut down.
Right. I
And I-
understand you're trying to do the right thing.
And I am going to pursue, I talked to Mr. Enzo, I got the paperwork, I have the paperwork to see about doing a 6-month rental on the bedroom. I'm told that I can go ask for maybe, and I talked to because everyone seemed concerned about saying to me, well, you can't do this because you're a,
Single-family home?
no, because I have, oh gosh darn it, I can never think of the word. Where I homestead, the homestead.
Okay.
But I spoke to them yesterday and they said there's no problem if it's just a bedroom. If I'm just renting a bedroom, there's no problem with, as long as I am living in the property.
So,
Okay.
are
I
you
think it would be
speaking
best
the-
at this juncture, because I'm not really here to try to determine it. I wish you the best of luck in what you're trying to do, but
Okay, all right.
this is outside my purview.
And I thank you for reducing the fine. I won't do it again. It's done.
If I can just get one clarification, and it's probably already been clarified with Mr. Yates. You say you're still on. I'm trying to understand what that means
Still on?
the,
Because I'm a co-host.
Okay, his profile with his photo and his contact information is on there, but this property that we're dealing with is completely removed. He's only on another property, not even in this country.
okay. And the clarification I wanted to make, I know what you were saying was you were marked off. It's not just X'd out, it's actually not.
Yeah, it is removed now. He's saying initially the way he complied before they removed it was he X'd it out.
Okay, but now it's gone.
Yeah, completely.
I could show you, it's what they call unlisted or listed. And I explained the whole part about being frauded because I went into a panic. I canceled, I was actually fined by Airbnb a lot.
The guy I need to be satisfied, so I'm good.
Yeah.
He says he got it.
I was fined a lot of money by Airbnb for canceling
Okay,
on my customers. They fined me.
interesting, but let's work that out with him.
Okay.
Very
All
good.
right.
But again, I thank you for lowering the fine. I appreciate that.
Therefore, case number 11, RTL 042325. I find the respondent, Frank L. Meist, to have been in non-compliance of Article 4, Section 4.1A and Article 5, Section 5.2.8.2 of the Land Development Code, which prohibits short-term rentals in zoning districts not zoned for short-term rentals. Such violations are irreparable and irreversible because the improper benefit obtained by the owner or damage surrounding neighborhood occurs at the time the violation occurs and cannot be undone as provided for by Section 162.091D Florida statutes for the property at 105 Sunrise Boulevard, and to have subsequently come into compliance on March 17, 2023, and hereby order the respondent shall pay a fine in the amount of $250 and not violate that section of the Land Development Code again, and that for any future repeat violation, the respondent may be placed on a subsequent agenda for a hearing before the special magistrate for consideration of a fine of up to $15,000 for each occurrence as per Chapter 162 Florida statutes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay, we move on now to case number 14, RTL 042328. John Stitt and Chelsea Stiff are cited for failure to correct violations of Land Development Code Article 4, Section 4.1A, Article 5, Section 5.2.8.2 at 408 North Wild Olive Drive Avenue. Anyone here on behalf of John Stitt and or Chelsea Stiff? Are they on Zoom? No.
The case before you was a zoning violation. It was started as a citizen's complaint. The property is zoned RP. Other accommodations known as short-term rentals are not permitted in this zone. The violation was first observed on March 16, 2023, and the violator was first notified March 17, 2000. On March 16, 2023, due to the nature of the actions being irreparable and irreversible, the city's asking for a one-time fine of $1,000.
Okay. I'll let the record reflect there is no respondent present. Mr. Jackson,
Yeah, I just want to clarify something here. On the names, this is in error as to. We're on 408. Yeah, John Stitt and Chelsea Stitt. It's not Stiff. So I'm a little concerned that the notice of hearing and the notice violation indicates a Chelsea Stiff.
Then,
okay. Mr. Jackson, are you going to be asking to continue this matter to the next hearing?
Yeah, I think
Yes.
we need to do a corrected notification.
And then corrected notice sent out?
Yes, yes. And I'm doing that based upon looking at the tax roll, and it's appearing to be both a Mr. and Mrs. Stiff, John and Chelsea, Stitt, TT.
Yeah, I was wondering why it was a Stiff and a Stitt. That seemed awful unusual.
Yeah. And so, yeah, we'll take preference to ensure that we have it properly noticed from a due process, as it will affect both individuals that have been cited as owners, as well as it appears Stitt on the warranty deed.
Okay. Mr. Yates, have you spoken with either of the respondents?
yes, I have.
Okay.
They've stopped. They're not going to do it anymore. The house is for sale.
Okay.
And so, yeah, if we can just continue this to the next month to resolve, to renotice it with the proper notification.
Okay. Therefore, I hear in case a number,
That's what's on notices.
Which one? Same thing that's in there.
Okay, yeah. Just confirming that's the status.
It should be STITT.
Yes, okay.
okay. So therefore, in case number 14, RTL 042328, which is in the materials is John Stitt and Chelsea Stiff for property at 408 North Wild Olive Avenue. This matter is being continued to the the May 23, 23 hearing. In order for the city to correct the spelling of one of the respondents' names. I would like to add, since the property is for sale and code violations tend to be a hiccup in real property, is there, and I've never done this, I mean, under the circumstances, I would have ordered the $1,000 fine to be levied. If they are agreeable to it, then that would bring this matter to a close. I don't know if, under those circumstances, it sounds like that they are aware of it. It's just that we have a misspelling of a name. But
Yeah.
the notice went, they both have the same name, and a notice went to them, so it's really more of a, what do they call it, Scrivener's error than it is. They were put on notice, and Mr. Yates has spoken with them and notified them. But the question is whether or not that rises to the level of being a due process violation, the fact that one of the, I assume they're either brother and sister or husband and wife.
It's entirety, so apparently husband and wife.
Yeah,
I
so,
was going to say it's his wife.
I mean, Mrs. Stitt,
No, she's
or
Miss Stitt.
Mr. Stitt
It's noticed.
could still have was properly noticed. But I leave that with the city. How, do you want me to just continue this?
Well, you're making a good point in that with our understanding of them being in the process of sale, that would just be more cumbersome for them as well. And so, I think we would have sufficient enough on Mr. Stitt to, for the lien to be a valid lien if it went to that point, if they elected not, if they didn't pay. Because that would not be the only issue, is if it continued beyond their remedy. But,
Now, there will be a lien that would be, or an order that will be
as
recorded, but it will be against Mrs. Stiff.
well, I'm gonna ask to amend, the
case style.
Yes. And again, it's obviously subject to objection if they so elect to object to it after the fact. But I would ask that we amend this to show it as John Stitt and Chelsea Stitt based on the record that we have before us from the tax file as well as the deed.
Would the
warrant.
notice have gone to any other address if it had been Chelsea, or, well, it looks like that may also be, is it Chelsea or is it Chelsea?
Oh, I'll let you. Yeah, it should be SEA, Chelsea. Yeah, it's SEA. So yeah, that's kind of. Yeah,
Well, the notice of violation had them on there properly. I see Chelsea Stitt and John Stitt. I assume that went to them, which initiated this case.
Correct.
on the notice of violation.
Yeah.
One, first notice.
So, oh, I don't have that. I didn't see that.
Okay.
Did that go to the right thing? Yeah, good. I didn't. It's in Charlie John. This was your NOV.
Yes, this is what would be initially mailed to them and posted to the property.
Okay, that was. And the certified one we sending?
Yeah, certified and posted, yeah.
Okay. I think we have enough to satisfy me,
Okay.
that we can proceed. In this circumstance, seeing that it's a $1,000 fine and the circumstance of the pending or effort of sale, I think, to whatever degree that, I'm operating with caution, I don't know if the caution is as necessary as my concern.
Okay. Well, this is already a record when people are putting the property up for sale, that there is a pending code violation.
Yes, and if not, that, I mean, it should be.
So,
made of right.
So, here's what are you going to ask to amend the case style to read John Stitt and Chelsea Stitt?
Yes, to be consistent with the original notice of violation.
Okay. Therefore, I am going to hereby order that the case style be amended in case number 14 RTL 042328 to read John Stitt and Chelsea Stitt. I am also, based upon the representation, this property is up for sale, and this matter cannot be closed out, so to speak, for another month. I am going to, and the notice of this hearing was clearly sent to Mr. John Stitt at the proper address, and it was also sent to Chelsea Stitt at the proper address, although it had a name Chelsea Stiff on it. So since Mr. Stitt is already on notice of the hearing, and has not chosen to take any issue with what is going forward, I'm going to impose the order, but as requested by Mr. Yates. But I am also going to make clear that if either of them should request that there be a rehearing of the matter, that I am certainly amenable to it. I'm trying to accommodate them if they're trying to sell a house and they can't get this matter closed or resolved in the time, because there's certainly a violation. Okay, so having said all of that, first I have approved Mr. Jackson's request to amend the name Chelsea Stiff to Chelsea Stitt. And with respect to the case in its entirety, I hereby find the respondents, John Stitt and Chelsea Stitt, to have been in noncompliance of Article 4, Section 4.1A and Article 5, Section 5.2.A.2 of the Land Development Code in case number 14 RTL 042328, which prohibits short-term rentals in zoning districts not zoned for short-term rentals, and that such violations are irreparable and irreversible because the improper benefit obtained by the owner and the damage to the surrounding neighborhood occurs time the violation occurs and cannot be undone as provided for by Section 162.2.091D, Florida statutes for the property at 408 North Wild Olive Avenue, and who subsequently come into compliance on March 21, 2023, and hereby order the respondent shall pay a fine in the amount of $1,000 and not violate that section of the Land Development Code again, and that for any future repeat violation, the respondent may be placed on a subsequent agenda for a hearing before the special magistrate for consideration fine of up to $15,000 for each occurrence as per Chapter 162 Florida statutes. Okay.
Thank you.
We now, and again, as I said, if Mr. or Mrs. Stitt would request a rehearing, then please put them on for next month. Case number 15, RTL 042329. William Camacho, cited for failure to correct violations of Land Development Code, Article 4, Section 4.1A, Article 5, Section 5.2.A.2 at 403 Tarragona Way.
Please state your name.
William Camacho.
Please
It is
raise your right
spelled.
hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
The case before you is a zoning violation. The case was opened as a citizen's complaint. The property is zoned SFR 5. Short-term rentals, known as other accommodations, are not allowed in this zone. It was first observed on March 24th, 2003. They were first notified the same day. The property was not actively advertising as of April 2nd, 2023. The daily posted rate was $211. It had 8 reviews. The check-in time was 4 p.m. and the checkout time was 10 a.m. The actions are irreparable and irreversible in nature, and due to the property owner's action, we're asking for a one-time fine of $1,000.
Okay. All right. Mr. Jackson, do you have anything to add?
Yeah. Mr. Camacho, I don't know if, I'm sorry. Mr. Camacho, I don't know if you heard my previous statement regarding this city's position concerning irreparable and irreversible in nature violation. Is that something that you heard? And if it is this something I need to repeat, or are you willing to waive hearing that again?
I am willing to waive it.
Okay. And you did hear it previously?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Mr. Riggio, if I can, just for the style of the case on the agenda, if we can just correct that to Camacho, C-A-M-A-C-H-O?
Yes.
No N.
No N.
Oh, okay.
I do notice on the notice of the notice of violation, it is correct. The notice of hearing it, it's not, but as from a due process perspective, Mr. Camacho is here, so I don't really have much concern of that scrivener.
Okay. All right. So therefore, Mr. Jackson's previous presentation on irreparable and irreversible, it was, he presented earlier today in case number RTL 042323, is hereby incorporated into as adopted and incorporated into this particular case.
Yes, it is on
All right. Mr. Camacho, it's your turn now. Do you have anything to say on your behalf?
Yes, thank you. So I just want to, I kind of have notes of the timeline. I was notified on March 24th. The neighbor took a picture of my door. And as you know, there's a lot of spam and a lot of things. So I wanted to make sure I talked to someone at City Hall and was able to get in touch with Kevin on the 28th, which I believe was Tuesday, which is his first day of the work week. But I did call, leave a voicemail on the 24th, did call and leave a voicemail on the 27th, and did call, left a voicemail, and he did call me back on the 28th just to confirm and verify everything that I was reading was correct, because I did not receive anything notified by mail until about a week after our conversation. On the 29th, the listing was down, and I did email Kevin informing him. I did follow up on April 5th just to confirm he was in fact able to check that the listing was down. This listing was managed by a property management group. So on the 29th, I called them in the evening and canceled all future bookings, but they had to go to a manager to get the approval in order to remove the actual listing itself. But I am asking for a slight reduction in fee, and I think this might also help for the future. I did pay for the initial, I guess they call it rental dwelling license. And I did listen to prior magistrates, and I understand like they just kind of hand them out to anyone who has an address. And I did pay for a renewal back in February. So I'm just asking for a slight reduction in fees. And I am transitioning into a long-term rental. Kevin was actually at the house, I believe, last week for my initial inspection. So again, I am moving as quickly as I'm just being notified by you guys. I live in Maryland, so I do not live near the property.
Mr. Riggio, the entire city got a new phone system on Tuesday, so he is correct, and we do apologize. We have not gotten any voicemails until recently, like in the last day or so, for anyone that's called any of us in the city. So we apologize to you, but that is due to a new phone system citywide.
Okay.
I concur. We've had some challenges with introducing that new system.
Okay. Based on past cases, though, the $1,000 has generally been what the city requests for someone who immediately comes into compliance, which is usually the next day. In this situation, I understand that Mr. Camacho actually got the benefit, is getting the benefit of a few extra days. I'm not sure. I'm looking to guidance from the city with respect to what its request is for a fine.
My request in this situation, and I know we had a situation earlier in this docket where there were other things that were different in terms of what the overall process. But the question of whether or not the $1,000 is an appropriate amount under the circumstances, it would be consistent with what you've done over the last couple of years, Mr. Magistrate. I truly believe that it's fair in this situation for the $1,000 fine. The fact that, and I understand the request of the respondent is that he's also taken steps towards, and also very positive steps and appreciated towards getting the long-term rental, and he had paid other fees in getting that long-term rental license. That's just part of the process that's appropriate. But the benefits that come with the violation itself, those things include, as even noted by respondent, having bookings already set, those things occurred prior to, and those benefits and those effects to the community it already existed. And so reducing this to the minimum amount that's been consistently a minimum amount of $1,000, I believe it's a reasonable reduction, and we're not asking for you to do anything different than that.
Mr. Yates, how many previous reviews did you say were on the site?
8,
8. And the amount per night was?
$210. Or,
210.
sorry, 211.
211. Okay. I mean, these are all rentals that should have never occurred. I'm not prone to start to carving out all kinds of exceptions all over the place, and therefore, Mr. Camacho, I understand, or Mr. Camacho, I understand that the phone issue I don't see as entering into the consideration of the fine, and you know, you are being treated as all the people who took immediate action have been treated, who have essentially past history of renting out a property, which they should have never rented out to begin with. And so I feel the $1,000 figure is appropriate. I'm not prone to making reductions. So that's where I am. Okay, so therefore, in case number 15, RTL 042329, I find the respondent, William Camacho, to have been in noncompliance of Article 4, Section 4.1.a, and Article 5, Section 5.2.a.2 of the Land Development Code, which prohibit short-term rentals in zoning districts not zoned for short-term rentals. Such violations are irreparable and irreversible because the improper benefit obtained by the owner and the damage surrounding neighborhood occurs time the violation occurs and cannot be undone as provided for by Section 162.091D Florida statutes for the property at 403 Tarragona Way. Subsequently come into compliance on April 2nd, 2023, and hereby order the respondent shall pay a fine in the amount of $1,000 and not violate that section of the Land Development Code again, and that for any future repeat violation, respondent may be placed on a subsequent agenda for a hearing before the special magistrate for consideration of fine of up to $15,000 for each occurrence as per Chapter 162 Florida statutes.
And Mr. Riggio, do you want us to correct the name on the order?
Yes, and I'm hereby also ordering that the name on the order be revised to properly reflect the spelling of Mr. Camacho's name and to remove the N from the.
Will I be notified about where to make payment and such?
Mr. Riggio will sign the order, and then Enzo will send you a copy of the order and an invoice with it. You can pay online, you can send us a check, a lot of different options.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. We are now moving on to item 9, miscellaneous business. Is there any?
No, Mr. Teal
We're gonna
is
be-
here.
Oh, Mr.
We're
Keel
gonna
is
return-
here?
Yeah, let me
Teal's
review.
here.
Okay.
I guess it must be on, yeah. Turn to lien review 1 and 2.
All right. Well, when I see that he's present, then I'll read the case so that he can hear it. Oh,
What could be.
Mr. Reggio, excuse me.
He's not on yet. Hold on. He just want to proceed until it's on.
he may have stepped away from his monitor.
Camera appears to be on. Somebody must have came to wait, and my microphone is also muted up there.
Well, then he's not here. We're gonna have to reset him.
Microphone is now unmuted.
Okay.
He's
And are
unmuted.
you able to tell him that we need to see video?
Mr. Teal, do you have your camera on?
I saw something move.
That's what they're
That's
trying
like a
to do,
cursor.
camera.
Mr. Teal, we need to see you in order to swear you in for hearing. Mr. Teal, we need to see you to make sure we can swear you in for this hearing.
Guess we're going to have to continue, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Teal, can you hear me? I mean, I can
Video
try and
appears to be
call.
having technical difficulty.
That's what they put in the chat. Okay.
Okay, so they're trying to, maybe they'll restart. I guess our alternative is, with this effort, I'm okay with continuing this to the next meeting as opposed to a finding of, I mean, obviously we have time if you want to wait, but I'm just saying.
I'm gonna kindly, I recommend to them that they leave and come back to the meeting.
Okay.
Really quickly.
Okay.
They said, okay, they should be back to the winter. Hopefully the connection.
Okay. Just get back to reading. No, there they are.
Hello?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, there we go.
Hi, good afternoon.
You can hear him?
Hello, can you please state your name?
Yes, my name is Anthony Teal. That's T-E-E-L.
Will you please raise your right hand?
Okay, Mr. Walker. I'm gonna have you stand up one more time.
Okay.
This time you're gonna take
Do you
steps.
solemnly
to the left.
swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes. That it? I need to, okay. How are you doing this evening?
Sorry, he's in the hospital. Sorry.
Excuse me?
We can hear you.
Right, and I believe I know you from a long way ago. Is your name Mr. Watson or Wilson?
I think he's talking to you.
Riggio.
Excuse me?
I'm Riggio, Robert Riggio. I'm the special magistrate here this morning.
Right, okay.
I remembered you came before me, I'm going to say, several months ago.
Yes, that's correct.
Briefly. It was regarding, I believe at that time it was the same, the lien review issues.
Right.
Before you do that, are you able
So,
to speak?
But now, since we're here right now, I'd like to just take a second and just go through what occurred since then.
well, Mr. Teal, if I can, before you start, I'm going to read what we're, the matter item so that it's possible for someone who is viewing this to be able to refer to the materials that are here. This is lien review 1, CEB 0820 155 611 North Street, Anthony Ray Teal. There is currently a lien in the amount of $17,012.75, and you are requesting a reduction in that lien. There is also another lien, and I don't know whether you want me to, Mr. Jackson, read them both in at the same time?
Yes, sir.
Since I assume you are dealing with both. Lien Review 2, SMG 01 2011, 611 North Street, Anthony Ray Teal. And on that one, there is another lien which is in the amount of $17,608.18.67, for which you are requesting a reduction. And those are the two matters that we are considering at this time.
Yes, and I appreciate that, and your information is very accurate. Now, if I take you back just in general, where I'm currently at is both of those liens are on the board, and they each are due for $17,000. Okay?
Okay.
I was going to call you guys to see if there's any time that we could negotiate this in good faith and try to reduce them down to 10,000 altogether.
Mr. Teal?
Yes.
I assume you're directing that to the city. I hear things when people are at an impasse typically on these lien reviews, where you have a certain idea of what you want it reduced to, and the city is another idea. And so if you're throwing that out to negotiate, I really basically only hear your argument, I hear the city's argument. But if you're directing that to Mr. Jackson, I always encourage the parties to try to work it out so that I can have the benefit of both of you feeling comfortable with whatever the resolution is. But so I'm going to direct that to the city as to what their position is, or if they want to talk
Yeah.
further with you, that's
Yes.
fine with me.
Yes. I wish they would, because we had spoke resolving. Hold on a second, there's an issue coming through. Well, we had initially spoke regarding where they came back and said they would knock one of the liens off. They would remove one lien, right? So that'll be how would you say, a subtraction of one, right? That's where we were. I sent that back to the state, well, to the city of Daytona, and
Okay.
put it in mail. They came back and they made an offer to do that. They said they would do that, and they asked if I was willing to take that position. I told them no at that time. And now I'm looking to see if they would still proceed to do that, and let's knock it down to 10,000 even. So that's why I came back. And also, we went through the what is it called? The Zoom meeting, and I could not get a connection on that particular day, so I was locked out of the system. I didn't have a way to come back to you guys on that day when we were supposed to, huddle up and see if you guys would proceed and take another look at it. So that's where I'm currently at right now. So what I'd just like to know is if you guys would be willing to proceed based on possibly going forward with a payoff of the $10,000 that I'm trying to proceed to settle these items.
Okay, so Mr. Teal, if I understand, what you are throwing out for consideration is currently there are two liens which in their totality would be around $34,630 and some change, and reducing that to the amount of 10,000.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I know we're the last person up today as far as the various people that are out there. So it doesn't have to be made this minute. I can go ahead and have something written up again, summarizing all of it, and present it out to you guys. And if you guys want to take a written reclose from me, we can do it right then and see what it becomes. Because it was set out there at I think 34,000. So if you guys want to pursue it, which I hopefully that you would, I can write it up and give it out to you guys to get some feedback from you to see if you might could approach it.
All right. Mr. Teal, one thing too as well that goes into my consideration a lot in this is a lien typically puts certain limits on things that can be done with a property.
Right.
And if there is something that the lien is interfering with,
yes,
such as you were selling it to someone and no one is going to pay that, or you were going to make some improvement and you couldn't get financing because there was this lien and you wanted it reduced to some amount, because that is an important consideration in these, is what is the benefit to the city
okay,
from the standpoint of reducing and putting this property back into more beneficial use.
Yes, I understand this.
And so I'm just throwing some things out there. I understand you're sort of, it almost appears you're almost still sort of trying to discuss this with the city. And
Yes, sir.
and I'm not sure that unless we're going somewhere with this, this really needs to be continued, and you need to have your discussion with the city and try to work out something.
Okay.
Well, if I may, Anthony Jackson, attorney for the city.
Yeah. So,
Mr. Till,
Do I-
Mr. Till, give me a moment to talk. Okay, here's our issue, Ms. Riggio, as well as Mr. Till. This property is have been cited back in August of 2019.
yes.
And it was not until January of 2023 that it came into compliance.
Right.
Which is a long time that was affecting the citizens, the community. And so it accrued $34,000 in liens. And we've expressed the willingness to go 50-50 with you and make it 17,000. I've talked to, hold on, let me say, I've talked to staff and we're willing to do just a little bit more, but not much more. And so $10,000 would not be something that we can negotiate. Now, I'll tell you, ultimately, the decisions of Mr. Riggio are independent in one sense, but right now what we're doing is we're opening him up to what could be separate discussions. But I just want you to know that our position right now is we're willing to go as low as 15, but no lower than that. So we're willing to resolve both of these for $15,000. That will resolve it for you, that will resolve it for us. But in this current open discussion between what we're trying to do today, that's the lowest that the city is willing to go. Now, if you have more presentation you want to make to Mr. Riggio that would leave him to consider anything else, you're welcome to do that. But as far as from a negotiating perspective, that's the lowest the city is willing to go.
Okay, well, tell you what. Can I take out and write a paper?
Now, we lost you a little bit if you're talking to us.
I'm sorry?
Talk.
Would you guys allow me to present a paper to you?
Another
Ask you if
paper.
you're-
I'm not sure what
I'm
that
sorry?
means.
Oh, okay. So how can I get a document? Well, this will be my own personal document.
If we can agree to something, the magistrate can just order it, and that would be it. You would not have to send anything else in, if that's something we're doing today.
Mr. Teal, I can tell you right now, based upon what I have heard in this matter, and I said this, I think, when you appeared, that I thought that some reduction was warranted, but my gut is telling me right now that 10,000 is way too low. So I'm sort of trying to help you in that regard to come to narrow the gap so that you all can work this out. And if you need more time, I'm happy to continue the matter. But I really don't want the lien review to sort of turn into a negotiating session. That should occur outside of this, where you come in with your arguments. And like I said, I understand there were some misfortunes that occurred that helped lead to this situation. But the important consideration here is, what is it that property could be that it can't be as long as that lien is attached to it? Liens tend to make it difficult to use properties, sell, improve, things of that nature. And that's the benefit that the city accrues from reducing a lien. These are lawful liens, so it's not like the city has piled on a lot of money in terms of the what is being sought. And the idea is to bring closure to this matter, so you get to use the property for your benefit, and the city gets to take this one off the books.
Well, I would love to consider that, and can I invite you guys some feedback, which looks to that right, that the reports that you guys have, as far as special grants, that we just go ahead.
Unfortunately, a lot of what you just said we did not get. Some of it got muted out, so I didn't hear everything you were just saying back. And I don't think anyone else in the room did.
Leave it. Just
So
talk.
that's what I can see as a way to leverage and go ahead and come up with a settlement on the offer. If I can have maybe 30 days to prepare, that would really give me a good understanding. And I can present it to you in the form of, that'd be 34,000. That would be 34,000.
Mr. Till, unfortunately, a lot of what you said we did not hear. It sounds like you're still trying to see if you can negotiate something. If that's the case, then what the magistrate is suggesting is that we continue this and you can continue those discussions with the city. I don't know if that's what you're saying, but if you can clarify at least that, because we're losing a lot of what you've been saying in the last couple of times we tried to speak.
I understand. So what I asked you at this point in time, will I be able to just prepare a document stating out what I'm planning to do, and then you guys just go ahead and accept it, and we go forward from there.
I'm not sure, Mr. Magistrate, if you understood what he was saying.
Right. So we were talking 34. We're gonna take down.
Okay, hold on. I want you to know we hear you now, so whatever you're doing, continue to do that and we can hear you. Go on.
Yes. Yes. That we're taking it, or we're asking to take it down from the 34. And if you have any more you can do, state it to me. We'll put that in writing, physically form it out to those terms.
So are you saying you would want to resolve this for $15,000? Yes or no?
$15,000 each.
No, $15,000 to resolve both cases.
The whole thing.
Yes, both cases.
That's a yes or no?
That's a yes.
Okay, well, we won't need any additional papers from you. We'll just need the magistrate to approve it, and then we'll be sending you an invoice to take care of it. He'll give you 30 days to do that.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Okay. All right. And it's good to hear from all you guys again. And thank you. You guys are healthy and you're always wise as usual. And like I said last week, we couldn't get our Zoom to work on it. We could resolve this and try to talk on it a lot sooner.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Then I'm going to combine the two lien reviews, which consist of lien review 1, CEB 082155, for property at 611 North Street, owned by Anthony Ray Teal, and lien review 2, SMG 0120-11, also 611 North Street, owned by Anthony Ray Teal. And I hereby order the liens for each, the total liens for these two cases be reduced to the sum of $15,000, subject to being payable within 30 days. If you encounter any trouble in paying this sum in that time, please contact the city attorney immediately. And just so it's absolutely clear, there are two cases, And both of them, the sum of $15,000 will settle the liens for both cases,
Yes.
okay?
And if there's any problem, if you contact the city staff, the ones you've been contacting, they'll let me know, and then we can figure that out if there's a problem. Generally, we're not very flexible, but you got 30 days to get it resolved. But if there's a problem, make sure you tell someone.
All right, so I'm looking for a document coming from you guys stating whatever it is, from where it needs to come from your department. We'll read it over and then we'll move from there. Move.
Yeah, Ms. Barnes would probably be getting that out to you, or Enzo, whose last name I don't say well.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
And I hope
Thank you, sir.
you're recovering and will feel better, Mr. Teal.
Yeah, one of these days I will, but just not on this one. It's gonna come on one of them. Thank you so very much.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Enjoy. You guys enjoy your day.
All right, you too.
Okay, bye.
Okay. That has to be one of the most difficult hearings we've had.
Yes, by far. Okay.
I don't think we've ever done one from a hospital.
No, I don't think so.
But,
I don't want
okay.
everything beeping and going.
Is there any other miscellaneous business?
Yes, sir. We'd like to introduce our newest rental inspector, Carl Wexelberg.
Okay?
He's over here hiding.
Yeah, stand up, Carl.
A little past Carl. Carl was a deputy fire chief in Chicago.
All right now.
Okay.
He was a deputy fire chief. The fire department that Carl worked for, actually, the building department was under them. So he's conducted building inspections, rental inspections. He's familiar with codes and already been reading chapter 162. So we're good to go.
Very good.
Good to have you here.
That's all I got.
Clear. Okay. And if there is nothing further, it is 11:06, and I hereby adjourn this special magistrate's proceedings.